welcome to another Burgundy with Tweedy video from this wonderfully gloomy day. It is the day after Boxing Day. We're in the middle of storm something or other, I can't keep track of the names. It has been pretty grim weather most of the day, and tempting though it would be to just stay indoors. Where's the fun in that? Obviously the winds have been quite severe at some point in recent days here in London, because a tree that I have previously sat at the base of was blown over. Doesn't feel particularly windy now, and I'm not going to be here for hours and hours, so I'm not particularly worried. This oak tree here seems pretty stable, but I have put up a tarp just in case, because it's been raining on and off, and when it does rain it's pretty heavy. None of that particularly relevant, as always. Call it preamble, if you will, to today's wine. It's a bit dark and gloomy, sorry if you can't see particularly well here. This is Harmand Geoffrey's Gevrey Chambertin. I have featured this before many times, but a different vintage. I absolutely loved the 2019. I bought a bottle sometime, I think it was this year, early this year, of the 2019 vintage from Fortnum & Mason. Liked it so much I bought a whole case. They have now moved on to the 2020 vintage at Fortnum & Mason. I bought this in store the other day. Any of those of you who are unfortunate enough to be following along with this nonsense will have seen this briefly featured but wrapped up when I was in St James's Park the other day, a couple of days before Christmas. The rain started, that's nice. There was some point in putting up the tarp. I'm really interested to see with this, because I don't know this producer other than that 2019 Gevrey Chambertin. I don't know if that was some sort of a fluke of that vintage, that was particularly good. I thought it was fantastic. It was, I think, looking back on it now, probably what part of what I liked about it was really quite high on acidity, very fruity, and just very pure. There wasn't really a lot else going on. Didn't have any sous-bois or tertiary aromas, or the tannins were barely evident. It was just really pure fruit expression, and I really like that style. Whether or not that's typical for Gevrey Chambertin is up for debate. Probably some people would say no, but anyway, let's see what this 2020 is like. Is that style purely a fluke of that vintage, or is there something particularly magic in terms of my tastes about Harmand Geoffrey as a producer? The nose is instantly giving me quite a sort of fresh vibe. Fresh cherries, almost something slightly green in there. That could be environmental. Once again, really good acidity, really concentrated, pretty pure. I think I'm getting a tiny peppery tannic tingle there, and that could just be the remnants of my lunch. I had a sort of spicy soup for lunch. A tiny bit more of an edge to this compared to that 2019. Could just be that, comparatively speaking, this hasn't had quite as long to age yet. I'm trying to do the maths to figure out how old that 2019 would have been the first time I tried it, but it can't be more than a year older than this, because it was sometime within the last year that I tried that. Of course, different vintages are prone to aging at different rates. 2017 was always described as a very forward vintage, matured quite quickly. Perhaps 2020 is a little slower in coming into its own. But yeah, I think broadly speaking that is good. Not instantly as blown away by it as I was with that first sip of the 2019, and that could be down to all sorts of factors, like it's a gloomy day and I'm sitting under a tarp. But I certainly wouldn't say it's a disappointment either. It's good and deserves further inspection. Wonderfully gloomy. Can you actually see me at all? I'm going to upgrade it from good to really quite good. Still slightly reserved about whether I think it's as good as the 2019, but it's certainly in that sort of rough area. There is that nice fruity nose that's almost veering slightly floral, which is really pretty, really nice, really elegant, and a lovely silky, fruity, fairly high acidity, fairly concentrated palate to it. And I probably was imagining, I mean, there may be a tiny backdrop of tannins there, but I was probably imagining that earlier and being a bit confused by the fact that I've charred my mouth with red hot Szechuan peppers or something earlier in the day. It is overall very good. and may well be that it just needs, I don't know, 6 months more or a year more or something, and then it would quite possibly be on a par with that wonderful 2019. Yes, I'm overall very happy with that. Cheers from the gloom on the heath.